Abusia exactly 43 years me na ajaje form yensa ye kwaje wom nkwa edifi wom se mesoma me kwache wom ekokum wom ya sabre na aban na wote so no Jerry John Rawlings na ban na ewo so sabre no na sabre no se nyina yenim se na military rule chese wo fum kakra bi betimi kra aje wo nkwa edifi wonsem na 30th June 1982 ene kwaje sa ajaje form yensa na Justice Fred Pokusa kwade ebiewu nso no Justice Kwadwo Eje Japan oba na woka ho no na wono nso Justice Cecilia Quantin Adono na oye oba na woka ho no osanso yobi a na akoleto ne nufu no nso Jerry John Rawlings na ban afo nani anto ya desa woche wo momi asa nyina no ekwaje wo mo nkwan de fi wo so masa abre no enye ensuo mpo na yeto ya kanya de se ebehu wo body mpo no nam so amani ni so kopiem ewo Supreme Court a judge for me ensen ya o statute de si wono mu a eno ka abakwasem kese pa share the property na mpo se sada no ade a esi ye ewo hono no sa statute no eka ni nyina ewo hono mo awo sansem no emu no enam samani na Kelvin ba be kasa e de afa we bie wunso no deso Okatakyie free fanso etne de aba be ka ho bi na ensem bia Kelvin di kan ye no asan me de Okatakyie de na aba be ka ho no Kelvin e kire se judge for me ensen age wo mo kwan fi wo mo se ne wo mo se emu yare hosem nanso obi ntimi nsori prako pese okwakoje obi nkwan de free ne se ne wo mo se ebetime ba se bibi potin bi wana mpo se mo di boni bi ana mpo se bibi wo hono mo ye ya emfamra kwan so ni ti na ema aban na mpo se jeje esoma me ekwachi wo mo ma yeje wo mo nkwan de free wonsem na aya na mpempi na ebitime kasa judge for de wo mo no mu bu aten ema yetimi mpokwaje obi nkwan de free wonsem ni ti eku wo mo a enkensere ne so mo ye nipa emu de nenso ebetimi abase na bibi wo ho nti a ye je sa judge for me ensen enkwa edifi wo mo se mesem say na Kelvin ekan
history ye nyina bedru pointer ye tie history bebre me ekọ menya historian but at least the little we have read about and the little that we have observed actually say there's one thing eni say nipa bia obojuso say ye bekum onyonku nipa. It does not matter boni anipa ne di. Anything na obi bia your friend no say e wo say emra ema wo ho kwan mpo ansa na se nipa bia ku nipa a wetuma agene kra. Enti ansa na begi nipa nkwa no e wo say o make sure say eye emra sebio ebo wo ho ban ebo bebia wo no ho ban ama wo ho kwan eno kra mpo no enye obi a netumi kwa abontene ka say emra ma ho kwan tim koku asemesi eye sebio omo a eye emra na mo mutumi se nipa we de yebu no de kumfo na ebia emra so a yebeku no enti as I sit here I don't condone any form of violence, assault, murdering a judge, a teacher, a lawyer, a human being. In fact, this case repeats itself because yehu omo a asem we to omo say omo judges, and we all know in the past how Ghanaians revered judges, how we saw judges as just people, and we say just nipa na sebio omo di no kore, irrespective of nipa omo gina omo nim no yehu sankofo no say no omo ka no kore. Enti the murdering of human beings, I am not too concerned is omo judge for. My worry is omo ye nipa and a nipa bi ku omo no. I will never condone it on my platform. Enti we speak against that act. We are against that act. But we also need to be asking questions. What will make an individual get up one day? Ebe sorry anopa say, judge way, bebe se mi kuno, judge for me ensa way, e wo se mi kuomo. I don't think say, and the menoka say, obi betuma sorry anopa aka say, judge way there, bebe se mi kuomo. There should be a reason. There should be a reason where Obiba Sorano Paka say, Judge for me Breomo Ghana, Miensa way party, I was send there anadri, Mikuomo, and I kuomo. There should be a reason for that. And remember, we keep talking about coup. We keep talking about the 1982 coup. Where na PNDC for na waso ena ema coup ni baye ena nipa bi ekoku judge for no enti it's a conversation about the murdering of these judges. We always try to hang it on the government of the day because yesina coup ho why na di coup denim yesina ye JJ Rawlings mo ena PNDC for enti sa coup no yemfa nhye PNDC for kon. We get it. But the story has been told every time. Yatifiti in Kwarabrem, one side. And it's an a simple question say, asam na si na atoyenchem asam kese ya nyina mpese bibesi biem. But the question here is, judge for na asam no to omo no, how clean were they? Were they judges that we could trust? Were they judges that were not corrupt? Were they judges that were doing their jobs, that they were not actually using the power they had to suppress people or to even take lives indirectly? These are questions we have refused to ask. And I think it's about time we are starting with our questions about the death of these judges and the people who died, judges, almost character, almost su. Edien pa nti ebe ma nipa bia sori say judge for bebreba omo Ghana e was say judge for me nsa we dey yiku omo ene sa soja ni ba ko ka ho den ebe ma nipa bia yesa, because me sure say 1982 we did not have only 3 judges in Ghana. There were so many judges in Ghana. So the question is, why would they decide to say let's pick out only these judges and kill them? When people talk about coup has been with us for years. When coup does not favor you, you sit back and you criticize people coup in favor. Now, or coup favor, I can tell you on authority, without the coup say see or Ghana, and the last coup that happened in 1982, Sanka Ensia Anka today, we will not be sitting here talking about the development of Ghana. It's a fact. Without the 1978 coup, and the previous coup, this country wouldn't have found itself in a democratic state in 1992. Into the 1982 coup, whether you like it or not, or whether I like it or not, the 1982 coup, it was very crucial to this country called Ghana, because the turning point in our history, that is the coup that directed us towards democracy. Because Saku Nama, I don't think say we as a nation we will be a democratic nation by now. Because at that point, there was nothing showing say we were going to move towards a democratic state. And see, whether you like it or not, the 1982 coup, it was a turning point in our history. And let me tell you, whether you like it or not, coup comes with its own effect. There's Obianwa Wato TV or Dashan Pass it. Obianwa why jollof or the question ebuom. There is a reason why coup see and coup see. Some people are going to be affected. Some people aren't going to be affected. That is how it works. When you even go back in our history, even in our tradition, there's been coups. Today, your oncophobia omuka coups I see during a time and ye kuro no kura soja ban ba ya bibia friend government in ba time and sebio in clans tribes. There were coups happening, and Emino say ya were in town and nipakuo bi Ghana, and the coups are no no omudi edi bomb ho samrane ne tetene yetumi ho yase ekuo wei omukotusha ekuo wei so ena omukɔgye omasase ena omubu omo ena omo ne omo konye ena denkyirafo kɔ ha ena asantefo kɔ hia denkyira ena denkyirafo kɔ kun wei mu ena omukɔgye asase ena asante de omo so ena asante kɔ ha ena asante kɔ kun wei mu ena ɔgye asase wei kan ho ena mankesimfo ena mfantefo omo so kɔ pie ha. It has always been about people taking advantage of people, and that coup na yekande bia no, when it is against you, you see it as something that is bad. But I can say, your tribes were Ghana and the Omobom for him, all because in the past, Omonananum went into somebody's land, tried to change the system there. Tamana Yananum to Shanko for Nkroso, Tamana Ahemfo, any Ahemfo ko, a clan, any clan eko, tribe, any tribe kono, Sambreno, and Kofo ne to show Mosono, no Musukuro, no more ma, Omunimu, Omuye. Se sebio asantefo ekotoshe eyedien ekotoshe ekuro bi so na sa asantefo ekodefeat kuro na e wo so tie ase se eye ekuro na omkotoshe omoso no eye apemfo wom sa ekuro no enkwara wom sa ku na asantefo eyeye ana awonafo yeye ana sremufo bi yeye ana achimfo bi yeye no sa ekuro na omkotoshe so no ye wonkofo mu a omoso ho kan ye ebesi ne eniso omurefi. You need to understand say ye nye ku nshem paase ku na ye hu no during the military time no, it is not different from coup na yehu no time na ahemfo bi ene ahemfo bi ko a ye gye nkofo nsase ye gye nkofo yerenom ye gye nkofo kurunom ye de nkofo dani slaves emombesom ahemfo bi the same thing, just that coup has changed over the years. Unless you don't understand what I'm talking about, coup edena na tete no ye de kontokwa inte ekuro bi ho motewo omo ho ana eye ekuo bi atoahye omo so intende enton ayebo tribe ya join ye de saa nyoma ne hoahoa ye ho oh wunim ye ne mfantefo ye to hye we mu so tama no mo agona ene ye kogye omo kuro no tama mo to hye omo so na mo koye ku to hye omo so no. What happened was apemfo ana omo ho ayarefo ana omo ho sebio ekuro no mutim no ne wo mpanifo mu di asem in that era ne from judges sankofo ni nyina omo wuye. So at that point no adena ende ugina ho edebo ho samra hene no wonana eyebi the owner na ye no and the what bo ho sabrahene. When you look at coup, na so who coup as coup, when it does not benefit you, you start to scream. And I'm not saying say coup na see before or after. Say bi onipa wi hire omon kwan adepa. I'm trying to let you understand say sa na it actually changed over time. It actually changed color. It now became more advanced. It now became the book down into 81. The see ya PNDC by no 1982. Ema judge for we be no. It is not different from in Tokona na Asia na yetoshenko for so. Some coups can be done from within, and some coups can be done from outside. Yeah, in 1978, the coup yedu a champion, it was coup within. Eye omwangasa na omuni a champion nam no oma na ye ku no to a champion di general kufu besi so. So it is not always coming from outside. Some things can happen from inside and it can create that chaos. It is a utikua mema ne nya adefoforo bi, it has been there. Now when you move all the way to 1982, right before PNDC ebe taking over, you have the right to say sebio on PNDC na. You have all the right to chain or link the PNDC to the coup because it will make you feel better. Because why Jirimuno Sebio na una nabi that time no did not benefit from what happened. Ebia na unyebi did not benefit from what happened. Ebia na opapa be a judge. You did not benefit from such change in the direction of the nation. Until you have every right to speak about it. But the question here is we need to be asking questions. Because before 1981 coup na see the murdering of these judges about 1982 no, there were several coups, about 3 coups in 1966. Kotoka, Efrifa, and Ankara. Omuye coup. People died. Some people were shot. Some people lost relatives. Some people became casualties. Some people at the end of the day ended up in a crossfire. Some people lost relatives. Even that coup no before and after no. So there are people who can tell you stories of things they went through. 1966 school. Now, 66 school no normally two Kwame Nkrumah. Your onkophobia omoshire omo papa nom. Your onkophobia omoshire omo busuafo. Your onkophobia sa asem ni see no. Sebio almost ho kan. But hey, those people are not mentioned today because ebia no papa anya judge. Ebia no mama anya teacher. Ebia na omo busuani nya influential. So those people were kept in the dark. Now when it comes to 1972, Sakuna etu eye buziano, omom yeku eye echampo betu buziano. People also were caught in the crossfire. There were people who also lost relatives. Maybe no munya judge for. Maybe not munya known people. Maybe they didn't have the backing judge for me in some way. No more until we did not hear about it. I am not justifying murders. I'm not justifying killings during coup. I am not justifying say so be a coup be and now be losing life during a coup. And I say yeah coup it should be justified. I am not justifying that. I am letting you understand the situation. No, we need to start asking questions before people turn this thing into a national funeral whereby every year they will serve funeral invites and wear red tie and come and do comedy on TV for it to look like say this is the end of the world. This is not the end of the world. The killing of the 3 judges, BB and of course the death of the judges. And we as a people, we need to start asking questions because there are casualties of war every time. But we need to also face the truth and start asking questions. There are casualties of war. There are people who find themselves in the middle of issues like this, where at the end of the day, you cannot find people who even committed a crime. Now we come to 1978, internal coup. Senior ya omutu e champon Eddie Ekufubaye. It was part of it. And about 1979, JJ Rawlings also popped up. 1978, nipa ho kan o Ghana. Nipa bi wuye. Ebia omo mu wuye no. Na omo busiafo omo ni dibre to say judge for miensa we. 1979, people died. Maybe omo mu wuye no. Na omo ni omo ni that position. Judge for we are omo wuye na ewo. We come to 1981. We saw the killing of these judges. So every single time there's been change in a direction of our nation, people are caught in the middle. There are war casualties every single day. Now, what makes this story so unique? Right now, there are people in Ghana who want to make it like it is the burden of every Ghanaian at the end of the day to say, some people are supposed to be seen as evil to the end of the world. But those people have refused to ask questions that are relevant. The question we are asking today is simple. The question is, judge for me in some way, judge for me in some way, what will make someone just get up and say, I'm going to murder these 3 judges? Diana Bema Ubia sorry say, Judge for Bebria, Omo Gani, Sam Yansan we pa any soja nibidi, you be kuomo, ashomo. That should be the thing that worries us. And then I was say, dear, we are Ghana in our Shamia. Now a man for Bejina TV, so say, and as some way see, and you could judge for me and say, with all due respect, Omo we during the 3 coups, see, judge for when Chayomo, they're all humans, they're all Ghanaians. So be a judge with all due respect, and I keep saying, but we need to speak on it because a better point to be say anytime this issue comes up and we are relevant. Obi say come Japan, they be no better TV so on kwan papa. With all due respect, some losing papa be me. But the issue here is this is not the first time anything like this is happening, and the question is, what did they do? A dear pa no mu nipa bi kochi o ma say ye ko bu omo ku omo asa ahye o ma se, then it means they might have done something. They might have done something that some people felt they needed to be punished. Maybe the way they punished them was wrong. Maybe the way they went by it was wrong. Maybe they were not supposed to do it that way. But have you asked yourself, the actions of these judges who died that day, have you asked yourself what their actions maybe did to some people we didn't know? Because I don't think anyone can come out and tell me these judges were angels. Time and I bought JJ documentary natural no. Time at JJ bar 79. Or time to me edema a year liman. Something made JJ Rawlings come back again in 81. And the reason was that na ordine say or the two minimal liman no a year the vulnerable. The people down there, liman muno mwosro no, they will bring the people along. Corruption na essay krona. People in authority were taking advantage of that power. People in authority were conniving to make sure those down there, they take their livelihood from them. They take their lives from them. No, JJ thought to say, Anka Liman be take that thing out. But when he went back and sat behind, he saw say the country had gotten to a point where that particular thing, a man year 79 kuno, that thing had not been achieved. Now, why did he come back to do another coup? Then it means that nani pebu or system ni mo mukuta tumia, they were abusing that power. Those people were hiding behind power. It could be government officials, it could be judges, it could be people we are giving authority to make sure the law works. No, they might have been, or maybe they were abusing that office. So it forced JJ Rawlings to come back to take that power. Now, let's take a step back. If 78, 79, 80, if a judge was abusing their office, 79, 80, 81. Na se judge bi di to me share nsa. And all this to me no den edi bonia. Have you thought of the people that judge in the era of Liman? Because we could not hold on to power to make sure, say, people we have given authority to could use the power to benefit the people, instead using the power to benefit them. Have you asked yourself, sir, action by some of those people, no, the people who are affected, did you ask yourself what those people went through? I am asking this question because some people today in Ghana, they want us to think, say, Judge for way they were angels. Who come Japan or better TV so oh na me papa didi. It means the dad was living well. Near Tifia or Bangalore na near didi. That means the same time there were people down there who were not even getting the opportunity to have a square meal with their father. This was an era where people were even struggling to get jobs. This was an era where the country Kalabule had taken over. This was the era where people who had power were abusing the power. I'm not saying Kobe Japan's father is corrupt or was corrupt, but I'm trying to let you know. So on your narration now, you could see, say, those judges and those people we saw as powerful, no, the gap between them and the people, no, was wide. What was creating that? It was corruption. People were abusing that power. So remember, say, Oji to me free the pansem. Now the 2 minute nipa na. Remember one day when the person gets to know you don't have that power again, they'll come back. They'll come after you. And it's not make a say. Some people want us to believe, say, judge for way time in their career, they were angels. They never committed any crime. From the beginning of this show, I've said, I would never condone murdering another human being. I would never do that. The act was wrong and should be condemned anytime. But we also need to be asking questions. We also need to be asking questions, because if you don't ask the questions, some people will force this narrative on us. Et to say, judge for we, you conform free heaven, you don't be Ghana. So, song, but something actually forced JJ Rawlings to come back in 81 to do another coup. What was that? The thing that forced JJ Rawlings to come do another coup was because some people who had the power to decide the destiny of some other Ghanaians who did not yield that power, they were abusing that office. And maybe these judges, that was what they were doing. Until Japan, every time be no better TV so and you bet me papa and you kukuno Japan portrays everything, and people who are in support of these judges, they make it look like Judge Fourway in their duty, they never stepped on any toe. And I'm not saying say Judge Bikra Ebu in 10 now we mbu 10 year also be fetch kukuno. I would never admit to that. I would never agree to that. But I'm also making you understand, because here can history. Something happened, the consequences in the history, no. So bibi and sia history number until we need to find out what really happened for history to today be telling us to say you could judge for me and sebi. Some action might have happened. Until we the young ones, when we see this story every day and people are sitting on TV crying and making it look like a group of people came to murder my father, kill somebody. The question here is, there were so many judges in Ghana. There were so many high court judges. There were so many tribunals. Why these 3 judges? Because we cannot keep doing this thing of every year biano nani pe bia ba portray bibi to say yey monko time group bi monko time JJ Rawlings group monko time NDC phobia. When you look at even what happened after this incident happened, the MPNDC, they forced an investigations into the matter. If people are even going to say there was one PNDC person in and a Saudi the question here is, investigations, what happened? Those people who were involved in the action, at the end of the day, they were all dealt with. One part of the story, so ayenka. Omomudi is abon no yeti omu nyina no sa emrana ewa asase no so no ene sa nkofo no edili. Sometimes mama yamfa emotions ne nto nchen. Mama yamfa nkofo bi way of trying to narrate a story to instill that story in our heads. And tonchen, we all feel bad. Say kan papa kan wan ka be me ya. But let's look at the reality here. Let's put aside our emotions. Let's put aside maybe a political party we are affiliated to. Let's look at the issues, what actually brought us here. Now, when investigations were open, in the investigations, they came to that conclusion, say, Nipa be and Naya omudi sajmo say numno, sanko for in yambu omukunfo. And those people they were all at the end of the day incarcerated. So the question here is, one, asamne siye no, omomudi bonene, yechi omo, anameboa. Now let's come back to, Diana judges for ya, everyman call for we, I then, it decided say, yabechi omasi, eku omasi omasi. It brings us to a year today. Eye Tokonu, eye our judges, eye Ghana na yetino. Now you see this. Today, Amanfobi Amajuni say they are going to force a narrative on Ghanaians because to them something they have to be seen as different human beings than ordinary Ghanaian. And they'll call your friend will be the law platform. Omako posti a video 1982 Judge Fobi we now every single year every year you see Cabinet Japan, every year you see some group of people, they have made this their life because they want to force a narrative and make it look like say Judge Fobi omumiti this untimely death, they were sent from heaven. But I can tell you in authority, these judges who were killed, they were not as clean as you and I think, as you have been made to believe. Japan also did 15 years, when his father was in law court or his chambers, Japan was not there. The kind of conversations his dad had with other big people, Japan wasn't there. The only time Japan get to talk to his father is when they are eating at home. And I don't think if Japan's father is having some conversations that are sensitive as a judge, he will tell Japan that these are the conversations I'm having with some group of people. No. The people who are even the agents of the story, propagating this story to make it look like JJ Rawlings group, they are not even the right people to be telling the story.
Kelvin tell akasa no achino eyade se Okatakyie fifa so sema wo kan wo kire se ebrada JJ ewo ho no manasa wo so no ono se won fa asem enkokot because court ho na wo de asem ne kono eye dwumadi e wo sa judge fondi wo mu ni ni asem no mu ni ni anti ena wo soma me ekwache wo me ekokum wo mo no esan se dwumadi e wo se wo mu di no enya sa na wo se wo mu ye no omo nye no se de wo se ena se ekwan ye wo se fa so no enya sa na wo mo eye no ensem se and now Okatakyie FIFA so a kind.
And then exactly a year 43 years. A judge for the woman them. Justice a year Fred Poku Sakodie. Justice a year Kojo Eje Japan. A year MPP Kwabeneje Japan. Ne papa. Any oba tanya na akoletria ne nufuano. Where Justice Frederick Puku Sakodie. Agosua. Any Justice Cecilia Krantiado. Or Batayo. Akoletra ne nufuano. JJ Rawlings me koche nukukum. There was one major year Samakwa. No ye Gehok. Gehok ye ne yesi eche you COVID jumania de. No ye Gehok HR manager. Na amatekwe no ye adwuma Gehok. Ana samatekwe si apamona free Gehok. Eti JJ Rawlings revolution ne baye no. Wonim so omkoche major Samakwa kan ho kokun omo. Awusia 43 years today, 43 years today. Eduko a year a Supreme Court in any mona. Yede a year or more a statue was you. And the actual matters of a year rule of law.
Exactly.
A gentia. If it's a JJ Rawlings say, say, or the Asamko court one. Now we're different. It is what different dear. Judges say Nikwa Kokuomo. Kaya de Kokuomo kiss. Nana couldn't watch my Rawlings. The dining hall, the dining table. Yeah. The center table so. And an kiss in the go. And Yamanameka, SIB report. Yamanameka. And I'm your ready SIB report. na yankoso anka kai mu a ene me no kasa yi asoja fo omo call bondasi training camp omo frɛ ba bi cook house wonim sɛ besi nne saa ba bi a yɛku judges ne ho ntimi fu efiri sɛ omo ku omo ewie yɛ do omo kɔkɔ twa bi nan Frederick Pokusa akɔdi twa bi nan na ironically chief justice ya omo pamuni ɔka bibi na no ɔsɛ ne wɔfa tieni o ɛne Pokusa akɔdi na time omo bɛchi na frifie no na ɔwɔ hɔ tienie chief justice no ɔwɔ hɔ now chief justice asaka bibi sɛ there is a place a womu hodi yes ade na committee de ben no ewo edu lodge ebe omu koku judges no edu lodge na captain Kojo Chikata from reliable sources ehia nkrofo no mo planning baby omu the chief justice yi koyi so people are linking it say is it because omu ko chief justice no wofa so they believe that say omu the case is court wa ebi a wonni mo so the yeye ne wofa no that is the same thing a yeye no na tienio now see ya tena ho na say JJ Rawlings say waba abamu or the revolution aba 1981 no the case is court wa omu the case ni ye womo fa case papa nko buga no a ni anima womo eti asoma me akɔkye judges miensa akuku womo anadwo konkon ahye womo anya nsuo ne toya enya nsuo ne toya aki ahye womo abra ya nhunu womo achi 43 years ne de 43 years now in the same vein almost MPP for wiesika MPP for abokro no me hu ye nka ukona say a criminal case dia you prove beyond reasonable doubt you know when it comes to criminal prosecutions the burden of proof is a year on the prosecutors say ube prove beyond reasonable doubt say nipa we no ampani ampa wa ye eye bone if say ye free bibi eye principles of legality say bone no ya amfamra hu ho am prove beyond reasonable doubt nipa bebrebe you sumra no as the personal vendetta kenie eti NDC for buy no omo see MPP for wieska eti say court a e won nye here see court a enye buga eye empirical evidence then you are able to match that empirical evidence with the law now when him so omo survive eti the see ye ne say you kum judges na send a shock
abusientina we na eye history kase pa efa ajaji form yensa eye JJ esumame ekwache wo mkokum wo no na mepese mebusa se wadwenkyere ne sen ajaji form yensa ye je wo mkwafi wo msem nsusu se ade a JJ eye ne kwan so ano no se wo sen kwaje wo mkwan ananse wo sen kwokum wo mo anampese ni sen kwokum wo mfo wadwenkyere mayen o comment section ho no mesausa ha eye great vibes GHN message subscribe ede ama ye bi wonso me notification bell ne so ede ama ye se de be ya video bi ebe ye no onsa ebetimi aka no wahwe bi midin ede na ya makraw